What's going on, my people? What's going on? Welcome back. You already know what time it is, man. So wanted to come in, tap in with y'all, man. Just kind of discuss a few things, you know what I mean, as you can see from the thumbnail. I wanted to holler at y'all real quick about the build, the Malibu build, and where we at in this process, what we got planned up next and store, you know what I mean. And also, man, in this video I wanted to kind of like touch on a little bit on that Gbody Blazer upgrade situation. I did finally get it completed, but I wanted to touch on a few things to make the process a little easier for the next man whenever they want to do it, you know what I mean? Because there's definitely a number of things that you could probably do different with this Gbody Blazer upgrade situation to make the job a little bit easier, you know what I mean, and make it a smooth transition and get them suckers on. But before we get started, you already know what you gotta do for your boy. You gotta like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Definitely smash that notification bell, that way you can stay alert to all the new drops you did. So let's get active. I would say, man, the Malibu is definitely coming along nicely. You know what I mean? I'm liking all the changes and stuff that I've been making to the boo, and I can't wait to dive into some other sections. As I was mentioned, you know what I mean, we completed the Gbody Blazer upgrade. And when I say completed, man, I mean like we got the whole shabazz on the side done. One of the things I am gonna do is I gotta start working on the brake line situation to this. Instead of doing the, like, you know, cutting it and flaring it and all this good stuff to make it work out, I'm going to use the original brake lines off the Blazer. I think that's probably going to be the easiest way to get this done. We're going to see. I saw some for sale. They're pretty relatively inexpensive. They I think they're running right now for like maybe around like that $70-ish range or what have you, brand new. And then after doing, you know what I mean, like some research on the Gbody Blazer brake lines, they basically use the same conjunction box, man. And that's a little square piece that sits in the center, you know, that where the main brake line will come from the front and it runs into this conjunction box, and then it kind of splits off. So because they do use the same one, I think it's gonna work. So I'm gonna take that route. That way we can shave some time off on doing this. I definitely need to get the rear end back covered, and that'll be done with this situation. So right now, man, what I got going next on this thing is, man, I'm gonna go ahead and start tackling this interior situation. You know, we got our fat mat down in here. The dashboard is already out. I still haven't, you know, figured out exactly what I'm gonna do with the dashboard. If I'm gonna just use the dash cap cover, or if I'm gonna try my damnness to get the dashboard, like the original dash pad, repaired. Because I know there is a way to do it. Watched several videos, man, on how to do it. Matter of fact, like Sprayway, he touches on it a couple times. And there's some other cats out there that touch on it too, man. So I'm thinking about taking that route, because when I put the dash cap on the Monte Carlo, I ain't really like how it turned out. I mean, it does look good, don't get me wrong, and it's a quick, easy little fix to give you a great looking dashboard. But if you don't put that thing on there the right way, man, like for instance around the glove box area, that kind of stuff, man, you run into a little bit of problem with like opening the glove box be snagging and shit like that, man. So I want to try to avoid that as much as possible. But in the near future, when I say the near future, man, I'm talking about diving into this. I mean, well, when I say the near future, I mean today, tomorrow. I'm gonna be touching on the what do you call it, the digital dash. We're gonna put an auto meter back in this thing. Actually brought it out the other day. Got my soldering kit, so this time I'm gonna, you know, solder the wires. And I'm thinking that I'm gonna be able to use the same wiring scheme that I used on the Monte Carlo. I did get a Haynes manual in or whatnot for the car, which I'll show that to y'all in a little bit. Got a Haynes manual in, so I'm gonna compare that Haynes manual to the Monte Carlo Haynes manual and see if the wiring is the same. You know, this is that A body, G body, so I don't know if there was some differences in wire color, but we're gonna see. And if it's not a difference, then we're gonna use that same wiring situation that we did on the Monte Carlo. So with that being said, man, I'll show y'all. Let me go grab this Haynes manual real quick. I did get the back seats done to match the front seats. I'm gonna show y'all that too. We got the carpet already laid out, and kind of like, you know, trying to get the wrinkles out the carpet before we go ahead and slide that carpet in. We're gonna go ahead and start working on getting these panels and stuff in. I do gotta order a couple pieces to like the panel situation. I got mainly everything minus the A-pillar trim, you know, the trim to go right up in this area. I gotta find these too, and then the trim to go across the top and the front, and then that's it. I think that's it. So gotta find out how I'm gonna get that, man, where I'm gonna get it, man. These pieces, man, they getting expensive. I ain't gonna even hold you, man. I caught a cat selling like that trim, man. That trim was going for a nice little penny out there in these streets, man. These G-bodies, it's getting kind of, parts getting kind of scarce for them. So I only reckon, just like how the dunk game is, you know, parts and shit start getting real expensive after a while, man. So, yeah, man, you're gonna pay for what you want, though. So, yeah, you know what I mean? So, anyways, I'm gonna go in here real quick, man. We're gonna give y'all a little peek real quick of like the seats, the back seats, how it matches the front, the carpet, what's going on there. And then we're gonna come back out here, man. We're gonna talk about this situation, man. What could you do to make this process a lot easier, you know what I mean? So, well, hold tight. Let me go grab some stuff, and then I'll be right back with y'all. Alright, so got the seat done, man, for the rear, you know what I mean? And man, it turned out really good. Like I said, I wanted to match kind of like the same stitching pattern and all that good stuff, the same type of material that we got going on in the front, you know what I mean? So and as you can see, man, we got the carpet kind of like laid out right here, man. Don't mind that weight. That weight stuff, it worked, but it don't really work. So what I started doing was I started using a steamer and hit it with the steamer. You know what I mean? And the steamer actually works really good. So I'm gonna hit it a couple more times, man, and have that part done and situated. You know what I mean? So literally, man, we got all the seats, we got the carpet. I just gotta figure out the dashboard, and then we're gonna hit up the wiring on the what do you call it, the autometer cluster you did. So we're moving right along, man. We're moving right along. My goal is to kind of have like this interior and stuff wrapped up before December 15th, no, 14th. I think 14th is Saturday, and on the 14th, man, we finna start pressing on with that motor situation you did. You know what I mean? So yeah. All right, again, we're gonna get this thing here wired up. You know what I mean? I think this is what we're gonna tackle next, guys. Like I said, I got my Haynes manual. I'm a diehard fan of these Haynes manuals. You know what I mean? Tell you everything you need to know about your cars. If you don't have this, man, you sleep. You know what I mean? It tells you every wiring situation, this, that, and the third, man. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna look at this Haynes manual compared to the Haynes manual for the Monte Carlo, and if it's about the same across the colors, guess what? We're gonna use the same color scheme on wiring this cluster up. The same color scheme that we used on the Monte Carlo, we're gonna use the same wiring scheme on this one, man. You did. So we're definitely gonna do the same, take the same approach and make this one of those plug and play type units. But this time, instead of using like connectors and things like that to get it going, I'm gonna actually solder these wires in, you know what I mean? So we can have a stronger bond. And I'm gonna cut back on some of these wires this time around. It's gonna be a little bit different though, hooking this thing up, because we're going LS, and with the computer and all of that good stuff, and actually the aftermarket wiring harness, it has a few wires that needs to be attached to the dashboard. So I gotta look into that, gotta compare that to this. And I'm thinking like the temperature sensor, stuff like that, might actually connect directly to the computer instead of, you know, going straight out to the sensors. I don't know, don't hold me to that, but we're gonna find out when we tap into this. You did. So that's what this is about. We're gonna go and get to it, man. We're gonna go and get to it. We got a lot happening. We got a lot happening with the car. It's been a process, you know what I mean? But you definitely gotta trust that process, man, and keep on moving, man. You know what I mean? You can't get discouraged when you're working on these things. They take a little bit of time. Not only time, man, they take that money. You did. And I don't know about the rest of y'all out there in these streets. You know what I mean? But that money don't come too easy around these parts, especially when you got life. You did. So I just ain't got free flowing money like that just to be dumping. You know what I mean? So, but other than that, like I said, we're making some moves, man. I'm gonna pull that cluster, not that cluster. I'm gonna pull that dashboard from out back. It has a dash cap on it right now on the top layer, but it's like a half a cap, and it doesn't cover the whole dashboard. So I'm gonna do some research on that, figure out what we're gonna do, and then we're gonna make moves on getting this interior put back together. You did. So with that being said, man, like I said earlier, I did want to kind of touch bases on that rear brake conversion situation, man. So when I started doing this, one of the hardest things that I found in doing this was drilling the holes for the backing plate bolts, and you had to like make them larger, you know what I mean? And then I had to do like a 3-step drill bit situation, you know, start off with the smallest bit and then work all the way up. Can't remember the size of that last one, but check that video out. But so this is my thing. When I was doing it and I was actually drilling, let me see if I can find them bolts. The bolts that come off the Blazer, they pretty big. They some pretty big bolts. And the last drill bit that you need to use to drill it, man, the joint, it was pretty intense. It took a lot to actually get that thing through the actual metal. So I questioned about, like, damn, do you really need to use those bolts in order to bolt that backing plate? And the reason why I question that, because the backing plate itself, on the old backing plate, it had 3 bolts. It had 2 small ones, the ones that you had to drill out, had 2 small ones, and this how small it was, man, compared to the bolts that went back in it. And it was held up by these 2 small bolts, and it was held up by this bolt, which I think this was something dealing with the spring. So this is like the spring retainer situation that went there, and it kind of like connected. But anywho, yeah, there's a bolt right here too. So I had 2 of these. Let me show y'all how this was. I'll show you how this was using this old situation. Y'all bear with me. So this was here, holding it up to the back, and it was held by a big bolt on the back end. And then it had 2 of these real small bolts that went here and went here. That was it. That was all that was holding the backing plate up against the rear axle. So what we did was, on the rear axle, we drilled these holes out, and we created 2 new holes at the top using the same 3-step drill bit situation, and we drilled these out using the same ones, and we, you know, widened the holes up. And that's something getting kind of bad. Alright, better. So that was good. This was here. Let me see. And then of course it was another one right here. I just moved it. Trying to give y'all a straight 5 visual. You know what I mean? Y'all bear with me. Alright, so this is the backing plate. That's that bolt there. And then this is the big bolt that was holding this on the back side, the backing plate. Alright, so when we drilled it, like I said, the drilling part of this whole situation, man, that was the hardest part. That was the hardest part. It took a lot of money too, unnecessary money in drill bits. However, this is my thought. I don't think you need to actually use the same bolts coming out of the blazer. I'm thinking you can get a much smaller bolt, make your holes, because like the first 2 drill bits, man, they went straight through with no problem. The larger drill bit took a lot of time, and then that drill bit was like $17 a bit, so I had to buy like 3 bits just to kind of like get it through. So if you went and got some grade 8 bolts and you got 4, you don't need to get them as small as this, but if you get them like a, you know, relatively decent size, not as big as the blazer bolts, but a little bit smaller, but a little bit bigger than these, that'll save you a lot of time by drilling. You might just need to go all the way up. I want to say the mid was like 5/16. Don't hold me to that. I'm gonna put the real numbers up on it, on the drill bit size. But if you did that part alone, will save you a lot of time, a lot of time. So that's my theory. My theory is you should be able to just get 4 grade 8 bolts, a decent size, not too big, not too small. Hurry up and drill those holes out, and boom, attach your new backing plate, and everything else is just gonna fall in line. Now, what else? With that backing plate situation, there was something else. Yeah. So when you create your 2 top holes, another reason why I feel like you should probably use smaller holes, smaller bolts, is because this part up here, if you watch my last video, or if you watch Penny LS1 video, like we both mentioned that when you create that hole, that new hole at the top, they're like literally right on the edge. So like if you move the new backing plate the wrong way and you start drilling that hole and creating that hole, there's a potential of cracking or splitting the rear end where this connects to. And going to a smaller bolt will reduce that risk of you splitting that rear end when you create that hole. So that's just my theory, y'all. If anybody decides to do this and they decides to move on with that theory, man, reach back out to me, let me know if it worked, because I didn't do it, but I think you can do that. Because if this thing was only being held by these little small bolts, any bolt bigger than this, and 4 of them, is going to be just as good. All right, so but that's that on that part. Now, as y'all know what I said earlier, I'm thinking about replacing the Gbody brake lines with the brake lines being used on the blazer. I'm thinking that's going to be the easiest way to get brakes to these new calipers, instead of cutting the Gbody brake lines and, you know, flaring it and doing everything you need to do up under the sun to get this to work. Why not just swap the brake lines out, have new brake lines, and have the Gbody brake lines, which is the correct fitting and all for this. So that'll save you time alone, right? And now I've already been in this rear end, I've already unloosened the brake lines before on this, so it's gonna be easy peasy on taking them back out. You know what I mean? So that's number 2 that I think that you can do to make this job a lot easier. Number 3, which ain't as, you know what I mean, as important as the brake line conversion and the drilling of the holes for the backing plate, rotor situation. Rotor situation. As you can tell right now, I know there's many of y'all looking at this like, man, he got them rotors on backwards. Do I really have them on backwards? Because listening to people on YouTube and listening to people on Instagram, this, that, and the third, about rotational rotors, or not rotational, I'm sorry, directional rotors. Listening to people about directional rotors, all right, can lead you astray. So originally I had some rotors on this car, these, but they went out of stock on the back ones to match this color, so I went out and bought brand new rotors again. These are brand new, never been driven on. These are what you call directional rotors. So when you put these on, these have to face towards the rear of the car. And like, as you can tell, like, this is the passenger side, and it's different than the driver. All right, it's way different. So these are directional, so they need to be put on the specific side, right? However, when I went and bought new rotors, I got non-directional. So as you can see, where this line is, it's going that way for the passenger side, but then when you go on the driver's side, it's going towards the back, right? These are the same rotors. They came in the same box, the whole nine, and it actually kind of like confused me, because I was like, well, damn, maybe they gave me two right side rotors. I had to call a company, see what's up. I had to hit up a couple other companies just to figure out rotor situation. And no, I do not have these on wrong. These are not directional. So I almost sent these back to get a whole new set, and I'm glad I didn't, because that would have saved me a lot of time. Well, that would have caused me a lot of time and headache trying to get this stuff back off and on. So this side is facing towards the front, on the front and back, but on the other side they're facing towards the rear, which in turns lets you know that, boom, they're the same exact rotors. You know what I mean? So you can put them on whatever side you want to. If I was to take this one off right now, take this one off and put it on that side, it's going to be flipped, and guess what? It's going to be going towards the back. So yeah, you can't listen to everything you see on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. You cannot. You know what I mean? Do your research, man. Do your research when you're doing this, because again, I had to spend a lot of time on the phone with people, just kind of seeing like, what's the deal with these rotors, and nobody can answer. No, for a while nobody could answer, but then I got some answers. You know what I mean? So do your research. With that being said, man, those are my little tidbits about this. I'm glad I actually did this. I think it's gonna be a good look. I am gonna come back and kind of like clean this up to get that brown off, but I think it's a real good look. The setup looks good, looks amazing. This is as far as I've ever gone with the Gbody before. I've never done anything like this in the past. I never even worked on rear brakes in the past, so this was a good experience, and it was really, really easy. If you use my tidbits, I promise you that it'll go way easier than mine went, and it'll save you money and time. You did. But with that being said, man, we're gonna keep on going. We're gonna keep on making these moves. I can't wait to tackle on this autometer cluster. I'm gonna be doing some soldering this time. I never truly soldered wires before, and so that's gonna be a new experience for the kid. And we're just gonna have overall a good build, man. The build is coming along great, and I'm loving every little moment of it. And I can't wait to get this out there on the streets. You did. This bad boy coming up in December. We're finna break this thing down, and we're finna get this to the shop, the whole nine, and get it worked. We're gonna come back and we're gonna start putting this thing together. You did. But with that being said, man, I really appreciate y'all tapping in with the kid as usual. You know what I mean? All my fans and all that good stuff. All my supporters, not fans, supporters. All my supporters, man. I really appreciate y'all sticking with me. And we got more action coming. You did. So stay tuned, and we out.